Hi, Charlie.
Hi, Duncan.
Great to see you. You kindly shared with us at small group the other evening about what happened to you the first time you visited Vineyard Church. I think it was with friends from uni. Would you mind retelling a little bit of that story for us today?
Yeah, sure, no problem. So the first time I went to a Vineyard Church was when I was a student at Birmingham University. And I actually went in the first few weeks, but I wasn't a Christian when I went. When I started university, I hardly knew any Christians. I hadn't met anybody really growing up that was a Christian. But God had placed a lot of people around me at university that were Christians, people who became very close friends and good friends very quickly. And they sort of all knew each other as well through a Christian union. And we used to sort of stay up late night chatting about faith. And I would sort of be the one who wasn't of faith and was asking all the awkward questions and all the difficult things. And as part of their sort of, I guess, process of introducing me to God, they invited me to go to church. So I duly said yes and thought it'd be an interesting experience. And I turned up to this Birmingham Vineyard Church. And I guess what I expected was it to be very formal, for us to sing hymns, to hear somebody preach, to stand and say prayers with our eyes shut and nobody looking at each other. And obviously I got quite a shock because that was what I'd experienced church as before this. So I remember the first thing that happened is when we walked in, I saw the band setting up and I saw a guy drumming. And I remember turning to my friend and saying, "Why is there a drummer here?" And she was like, "Well, it's part of the band." And I was like, "You have a band at church?" I kind of couldn't get my head around a worship band and playing music. So I think I was sort of just a bit stunned really throughout the whole of the service. But after the worship had happened, the pastor of the church got up and he started talking about healing. And I guess I didn't really understand a lot of what he was saying. He was talking about how God can heal us and how we have to pray in faith and the Holy Spirit can, he can do anything in our lives. And interestingly, about a week before I went along to this church, I had sprained my ankle in a sporting accident. And I was actually on crutches at the time when we were at church. And inevitably, at the end of his sermon, he stood up and said, "And we'd like to pray for anyone that's ill or injured." And I remember looking at the floor and thinking, "Oh, there's no way I'm standing up. This is all crazy, off the wall. I'm not going anywhere near that stage." And then the next thing I knew, I was standing up on this stage. And I really can't tell you today how I got up there, other than to assume that I must have made the decision to put my hand up, very firmly nudged probably by some friends and by God to do so. And I ended up on this stage and the pastor said to me, "Oh, what's wrong?" And I said, "Well, as you can see, I've sprained my ankle and I'm on crutches, but I think I should tell you I'm not a Christian. I don't know what I believe in. I'm just here for the first time." And he was not at all taken aback, actually, which I was very impressed at. He sort of said, "Don't worry, it's all up to God. We can pray for you and lay hands on you and pray in faith that you'll be healed." And so I shut my eyes and just stood there and thought, I don't know what's going to happen, but I'll just go with it. And then, it was miraculous, really. At the end of the prayer, he said, "How does it feel?" And I put a bit of weight on it and I thought, this is the first time I've stood on my foot since I sprained it and I can actually stand on it. And after that I walked down off the stage, I walked down the steps of the stage, and God had done something amazing, which at the time I don't think I even knew how to process or how to understand, because I didn't even know that I believed in this God that had just healed my ankle. So it was an incredible experience looking back on it.
It sounds a thoroughly incredible experience and quite a mad way, to come along to church for the first time. We're talking this morning about how seeing is believing. When you see something happen, like having your ankle healed, how it affects us. So if seeing is believing and our beliefs affect our actions, our actions affect over time who we are. And you mentioned a little bit of that on Wednesday at small group. Over time, this one incident, this one experience that you had where your ankle was healed has affected the rest of your life. Do you mind sharing a little bit more about that?
Yeah, sure. So this sort of experience, I would say, is one of the most defining moments in, I think, me coming to be a Christian. And it didn't happen straight away after that meeting, that healing. I think, as I said, I was a bit in shock really about what had happened, and I was still searching and finding out things. But when I look back, and I think I made a decision maybe a couple of months after that to become a Christian and to get baptised, I think it was probably the most tangible bit of evidence that I had to cling on to that God was real. And I didn't find it hard to believe in the words of the Bible. I didn't find it hard to believe that Jesus was this historical figure who had walked the earth thousands of years before. And, I didn't find any of that really challenging to believe, but the whole idea of God being with us here and now and being present in our lives now, and to be able to see and experience things of God in this lifetime, that was the thing that I found hard to believe. And I think that experience for me made God tangible. It made him completely real. And it must, look back and think it was one of the most defining points and events in my life as a Christian. And obviously today, had I not had that experience and the other experiences I had at university, my life, I'm sure, would be very different today if I hadn't made those decisions and followed God all those years ago. So sometimes it's a really good story to tell also for me, just to be reminded about how God can do dramatic things in the lives of people, even when you don't expect them, even when they don't believe in him. And it's an encouragement, I guess, to be bold and pray for people because of that.
Fantastic. And it is, when we have those big moments in life, they do change us. And thank you so much for sharing all those things. It's a wonderful story. It's wonderful. It's encouraging for us to hear it. Thank you so much, Charlie. We hope you enjoy the rest of this morning with us.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.